Come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, but now he will heal us. He has injured us, but now he will bandage our wounds. In just a short time he will restore us, so that we may live in his presence. Oh, that we might know the Lord. Let us press on to know him. He will respond to us as surely as the arrival of dawn or the coming of rains in early spring. O Israel and Judah, what should I do with you? Asked the Lord. For your love vanishes like the morning mist and disappears like dew in the sunlight. I sent my prophets to cut you into pieces, to slaughter you with my words, with judgments as inescapable as light. I want you to show love, not offer sacrifices. I want you to know me more than I want burnt offerings. But like Adam, you broke my covenant and you betrayed my trust. Gilead is a city of sinners, tracked with footprints of blood. Priests from bands of robbers waiting in ambush for their victims. They murder travelers along the road to Shechem and practice every kind of sin. Yes, I've seen something horrible in Ephraim and Israel. My people are defiled by prostituting themselves with other gods. O Judah, a harvest of punishment is also waiting for you, though I wanted to restore the fortunes of my people. Israel's love for wickedness. I want to heal Israel, but its sins are too great. Samaria is filled with liars. Thieves are on the inside and bandits on the outside. Its people don't realize that I'm watching them. Their sinful deeds are all around them, and I see them all. The people entertain the king with their wickedness. The princes laugh at their lies. They are all adulterers, always aflame with lust. They're like an oven that is kept hot while the baker is kneading the dough. On royal holidays, the princes get drunk with wine, carousing with those who mock them. Their hearts are like an oven blazing with intrigue. Their plot smolders through the night, and in the morning it breaks out like a raging fire. Burning like an oven, they consume their leaders. They kill their kings one after another, and no one cries to me for help. The people of Israel mingle with godless foreigners, making themselves as worthless as a half-baked cake. Worshipping foreign gods has sapped their strength, but they don't even know it. Their hair is gray, but they don't realize they're old and weak. Their arrogance testifies against them, yet they don't return to the Lord their God, or even try to find him. The people of Israel have become like silly, witless doves, first calling to Egypt and flying to Assyria for help. But as they fly about, I will throw my net over them. I'll bring them down like a bird from the sky. I'll punish them for all the evil they do. What sorrow awaits those who have deserted me? Let them die, for they rebelled against me. I wanted to redeem them, but they told lies about me. They do not cry out to me with sincere hearts. Instead, they sit on their couches and wail. They cut themselves, begging foreign gods for grain and new wine, and they turn away from me. I trained them and made them strong, and yet now they plot evil against me. They look everywhere except the Most High. They're as useless as a crooked bow. Their leaders will be killed by their enemies because of their insolence towards me. And then the people of Egypt will laugh at them. Israel harvest the whirlwind. So sound the alarm. The enemy descends like an eagle on the people of the Lord, for they've broken my covenant and revolted against my law. And now Israel pleads with me, help us, for you are our God. But it is too late. The people of Israel have rejected what is good, and now their enemies will chase after them. The people have appointed kings without my consent and princes without my approval. By making idols for themselves from their silver and their gold, they've brought about their own destruction. O Samaria, I reject this calf, the idol you have made. My fury burns against you. How long will you be inescapable of innocence? This calf you worship, O Israel, was crafted by your own hands. It is not God, therefore it must be smashed to bits. They have planted the wind and the harvest the whirlwind. The stalks of grain wither and produce nothing to eat. And even if there's any grain, foreigners will eat it. The people of Israel have been swallowed up. They lie among the nations like an old discarded pot. Like a wild donkey looking for a mate, they've gone up to Assyria. The people of Israel have sold themselves to many lovers. But though they have sold themselves to many allies, I will now gather them together for judgment. They will writhe under the burden of a great king. Israel has built many altars to take away sin, but these very altars became places for sinning. And even though I gave them all my laws, they act as if those laws don't apply to them. The people love to offer sacrifices to me, feasting on the meat, but I do not accept their sacrifices. I will hold my people accountable for their sins. I will punish them. They will return to Egypt. Israel has forgotten its maker and built great palaces. Judah has fortified its cities. Therefore, I will send down fire on their cities and will burn up their fortresses. Hosea announces Israel's punishment. O people of Israel, do not rejoice as other nations do. For you have been unfaithful to your God, hiring yourselves out like prostitutes, worshipping other gods on every threshing floor. So now your harvest will be too small to feed you. There will be no grapes for making new wine. You may no longer stay here in the Lord's land. Instead, you will return to Egypt, and in Assyria you will eat food that is ceremonially unclean. There you will make no offerings of wine to the Lord. None of your sacrifices there will please him. They will be unclean, like food touched by a person in mourning. And all who present such sacrifices will be defiled. They may eat this food themselves, but they will not offer it to the Lord. What will you do on a festival day? How will you observe the Lord's festivals? Even if you escape destruction from Assyria, Egypt will conquer you and Memphis will bury you. Nettles will take over your treasures of silver, and thistles will invade your ruined homes. The time of Israel's punishment has come. The day of payment is here. Soon Israel will know this all too well because of your great sin and hostility. You say the prophets are crazy and inspired men are fools. The prophet is a watchman over Israel for my God. Yet traps are laid for him wherever he goes. He faces hostility even in the house of God. The things my people do are as depraved as what they did in Gibeah long ago. God will not forget. He will surely punish them for their sins. The Lord says, O Israel, when I first found you, it was like finding fresh grapes in the desert. When I saw your ancestors, it was like seeing the first ripe figs of the season. But when they deserted me for Baal Peor, giving themselves to that shameful idol, soon they became vile as the God they worshipped. The glory of Israel will fly away like a bird, for your children will not be born or grow in the womb or even be conceived. And even if you do have children who grow up, I will take them from you. It will be a terrible day when I turn away and leave you alone. I have watched Israel become as beautiful as Tyre, but now Israel will bring out her children for slaughter. O Lord, what should I request for your people? I will ask for wombs that do not give birth, for breasts that do not give milk. The Lord says, all their wickedness began at Gilgal, and there I began to hate them. I will drive them from my land because of their evil actions. I will love them no more because of all their leaders are rebels. The people of Israel are struck down, their roots are dried up, and they will bear no more fruit. And if they give birth, I will slaughter their beloved children. My God will reject the people of Israel because they did not listen or obey. They will be wanderers, homeless among the nations. The Lord's judgment against Israel. How prosperous Israel is, a luxuriant wine loaded with fruit. But the richer the people get, the more pagan altars they build. The more bountiful their harvest, the more beautiful their sacred pillars. The hearts of the people are fickle. They're guilty and must be punished. The Lord will break down their altars and smash their sacred pillars. And then they will say, we have no king, because we didn't fear the Lord. But even if we had a king, what could he do for us anyways? They spout empty words and make covenants they don't intend to keep. So injustice springs up among them like poisonous weeds in a farmer's field. The people of Samaria tremble in fear for their calf idol at Beth-Heaven, and they mourn for it. And though its priests rejoice over it, its glory will be stripped away. This idol will be carted away to Assyria, a gift to the great king there. Ephraim will be ridiculed and Israel will be shamed because its people have trusted in this idol. Samaria and its king will be cut off. They will float away like driftwood on an ocean wave. And the pagan shrines of Aven, the place of Israel's sin, will crumble. Thorns and thistles will grow up around their altars. They will beg the mountains to bury us and plead with hills to fall on us. And the Lord says, O Israel, ever since Gibeah, There has only been sin and more sin. You have made no progress whatsoever. Was it not right that the wicked men of Gibeah were attacked? Now, wherever it fits my plan, I will attack you too. I will call out the armies of the nations to punish you for your multiplied sins. Israel is like a trained heifer treading out the grain, an easy job she loves. But I will put a heavy yoke on her tender neck. I will force Judah to pull the plow and Israel to break up the hard ground. I will plant the good seeds of righteousness, and you will harvest a crop of love. Plow up the hard ground of your hearts, for now is the time to seek the Lord, that he may come and shower righteousness upon you. But you have cultivated wickedness and harvested a thriving crop of sins. You've eaten the fruit of lies, trusting in the military might, believing the great armies could make your nation safe. But now the terrors of war will rise among your people. All your fortifications will fall, just as when Shalman destroyed Beth Arbel. Even mothers and children were dashed to death there. You will share that fate, O Bethel. Because of your great wickedness, when the day of judgment comes, the king of Israel will be completely destroyed. Psalm 123, a song for pilgrims ascending to Jerusalem. I lift my eyes to you, O God, who's enthroned in the heavens. We keep looking to the Lord our God for his mercy, just as servants keep their eyes on their master, as a slave girl watches her mistress for the slightest signal. Have mercy on us, Lord, have mercy, for we have had our fill of contempt. We've had more than our fill of the scoffing of the proud and the contempt of the arrogant.